So we have the password for logged out user. So when user inputs this logged out user username and then inputs this password to it, then they should see this error message and then they should not be able to log in successfully, right? So we have here okay, so when you say can input, that means you are basically checking each field. Is each field validated against the values you input with it? That is fine. And then you check the login button if it's also okay. I think that's fine. That's for login validation. Then access the application. This is for problem users. So we have problem users. Okay. So what happens to problem users? For a problem user, okay, so for a problem user it is expected that they will be able to log in. However, maybe they will not be able to do certain things. Okay, so this is one of the
charge complete.
So this is one of the issues your teacher checked for yesterday. However, I think he did not know that he logged in with a what? With a problem user. Because if a standard user logs in and they click on add cart, I expect that, they click on add cart and then they click on remove, then he should be able to remove. Am I right? Let's see, because I think he did something like this yesterday. Then later he was like, "Oh, this thing is removing." It wasn't removing before. So the scenario is that if you are a user that you don't have access to add cards, your access level stops at just logging in. There are certain things you don't have access to do. Then it means that you should not be able to, you know, remove from cart or add to cart or whatever. So let me log out this. How do I log out? Let me log out this user and try to use standard and compare what your teacher did yesterday. Okay, so standard user and the password. Okay, so this is standard user. Okay, so we assume that I've logged in freshly. I want to add a product to cart and then remove. So you can see that this is working perfectly well. That's because this standard user is not supposed to experience any issue with adding cart and removing cart. However, if I log out and I log in with a problem user, I won't be able to do the same thing I just did. Okay. Cancel. Secret source. Okay. Can you see add to cart, remove? Can you see that I'm clicking on remove and it is not removing? If I add the cart, so it becomes true, but I want to remove, you're supposed to just remove, right? And that count on the cart should also reduce. All right, so this is the expectancy that when a user uses uses the problem user to log in, then they should not be able to remove from cart. However, if they are able to remove from cart, then that means that it is not as expected. All right, so the fact that listed here it says accepted usernames, it simply means that you have to test for each scenario here. You have to test for scenario, all the scenarios for standard user. You have to test for all the scenarios for logged out user, for problem user, for performance glitch user. And so for each of them there is an expectancy. All right, there's an expected result which we are looking out for. Okay, so if you use let's try this one. Performance glitch user. What is this person supposed to? What should be the expected behavior here? Okay, so I'm logged in as performance glitch. You know what performance glitch is? If when the app is not stable, and then there's probably a broken link somewhere, or you are clicking on something and it's not just working, or you move to another page and then it's another page that is showing, and so on. So that's performance glitch. Even this performance glitch can remove from cat. However, what exactly is the difference? I still don't get it. Okay, so let's do performance glitch again. So I have performance glitch and secret source password. Login. Okay, I clicked like twice or how many times before I could log in. That's one. If you can note that. Yeah. Then another thing was, yeah, I think that's the major thing. So did anyone do the scenario on performance glitch user? Let me just check. Okay, favor did not do that. Okay, let me check someone else. Performance glitch scenario. Okay, this person did not even do much. Which person? Judith. Judith, you tested only for standard user. You should, and you included usernames here. So if you are testing only for one user, then all of this shouldn't be here. Or yes, as the case may be. This is a rushed work, right? You have to separate them. They are all different scenarios. Okay, so you can't just put them in one piece. We were talking yesterday about looking, searching for bugs. And if you recall your first day of class, we said that for you to be a successful software tester in this profession, in this field, and you're not just among the thousands of testers, that are not recognized and all of that. If you want to be the top tier, what we are saying is that you want to be really, really good, you know, and maybe recommended and all of that. You need to be able to recognize bugs, recognize defects. And for that to happen, it means that you have a pessimistic view to every application, to every function. You always assume that there is a bug in there and I have to find it, right? That is how you think. Your critical thinking ability is so different. You think outside of the box, you think outside of the window, right? You think outside of the door and all of that. You find gray areas meaning that areas that are not clear, but somehow bug has leaked into the application. You look for it, right? You look for edge cases, exceptional cases that your test cases might have not covered, right? And also in the process of looking for bugs, is this your test case document? It has to be perfectly written because you don't want to miss out any test scenario or any test case. Because if you don't test for it, how will you find the bug? All right. So please test for it. Separate. There are some cases, in fact, a lot of cases that you don't put them together. Put them in a different line and in a different line. It's going to take time and it's going to take stress, but the principle of slow and steady is what works in software testing. Slow, steady, slow, steady. All right. Okay, somebody is trying to join class. Is that so? Admit all. What happened to everybody? People really need that, so I'm recording it. Okay, so I was explaining about how you need to have the tester's mindset. That is the pessimistic view, always looking out for bugs. And in order to do that, you have to make your test case really robust. All right. And you don't have to, when the test case is two or three, you don't put them together, you separate them so that you can thoroughly test them end to end. All right. Now, you should read up on end to end testing. Please note that end to end testing. Let me go back to favors test suite. We were talking about different kind of users. There's problem users, right? There is error user. Have I checked error user? Let's check error user. Look out. Error user. Error user. Let me know if anyone is still having problem to let me know if anybody is still having problem to log in, to join the class. Hello? I just need to know that you are following. Am I audible enough? Okay, thank you. Okay, okay. Okay, great. Um that person, can you help me mute your microphone? Oh, great, thank you. So I think I've logged in with error user. This is an error user. What is the expected thing? Let's check. Add to cart. Okay, so I can't add to cart, right? Oh, it's okay. Okay, it's definitely an error. So I clicked on add to cart the first time. The button was not responding to my click. And then when I clicked on another one, then it responded. All right. So there, I've clicked on remove now. The first time it didn't respond. Okay, it is still not responding. If I click here, okay, it's not responding. Add to cart is not responding, and all of that. So this is error user, right? Error user is like you click on add to cart button like twice before you're able to add, and then you click on remove and it's not even responding to the remove click. Okay, so these are the different scenarios you check for according to this application. Validate that first name is required for which user. Okay, is it required? Yeah, and that's true for any of these users that you test for. It is required that you enter the username, or is it the first name now? Let me log out. How is it exactly tagged? Okay, the username, that is it. So it is tagged username. So you validate that user can actually input the username, okay, the username for an error user, and then enter the password, and then we validate that that error user, all right, experiences the what's the name now, the error on add to cart, add the cart button, and what, remove button. So that is the expectation for all of this that you check for. A negative scenario in that case for error user will be you validate that an error user should not be able to successfully check out. Why? Because is an error user. That's number one. Then you validate that that same error user uh, cannot should not be able to remove product. All right, remove item from cart. Obviously, you should not be able to, because that is what the application is supposed to do. These are the accepted usernames, and when you use them to test, that is the expected. Now when you are now writing a negative scenario, you are now checking that, okay, if a problem user is using doing this particular action, then it should not be able to do this, and do that. But if he does this action, then he should be able to do this and do that. just the same way you check for the standard user, and the standard user is like your admin, is like the super user, is like the one that has access to all of the features of the application, at least in terms of this test app. He is like the superman here. So this standard user here can basically log in, add to cart, remove from cart, check out, do this, do that, and all of that without any problem. But looking at the rest of these users, it's like their access is restricted. There are certain expectations that you're supposed to have on your screen, error messages, and all of that. So those are the things I was expecting to see in your test case description. All right. So Judith, this is how will I put it now? You don't check for two users at the same time, please. What you do is like what this lady did here, separate those users. All right, because these users, for each of those users, they have to go through every scenario one after the other, end to end. All right. So yeah, let's move on. I have Fumbi Adekombi's own here. So she say, okay, good. Okay. 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 Yeah. Yes, I understand you. That your perspective is also okay, except that you were supposed to move another inch forward too. Because when you test that a problem user can do all of it, then where is the problem there? Right? That was why here on the application they separated each of the usernames and gave just one password. There you see visual user, error user, performance glitch, and all of that. So you could have maybe logged in each of those users and observe the differences between the passwords that was here. If you had observed them, because the moment you log in with a problem user, or which user, there's a user that will immediately display something for you, then you see the differences, and that will help you in, designing your test case. So the front part of this page is more like your requirement document, or user story, or whatever. All right. So it's like this user story is saying that check each scenario for all of these users, right? Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. So, meaning that for each of these users too, they too have their own negative test cases. Standard user has its own negative test cases. Locked out user has their own negative test cases. For user that is locked out, you don't expect the user to be locked in or whatever. Let's check again. What happened to this locked out user? Uh, Secret source login. Yeah, say this locked out user. It's saying epic sad face, sorry, this user has been locked out. So meaning that you don't expect this user to be locked in. So when you are designing a negative scenario for this, you are saying that validate that a locked out user cannot log in successfully. It is that. Then for the positive scenario, you're saying validate that locked out user, the username field is valid, or you can input the locked out user into the username field. You can input the password, and then you can click on the login button, which is fine, which are all positive. And then you also validate that user the interface, or on click on the button, the error message is displayed, right? On click on login button, the error message is displayed, which is what we have seen, which is also the positive part. And then you now add your negative scenario, because now that when you click on the login button, you want to see this error message. What if you don't see the error message and then it logs the user in successfully? Then you have to put a negative scenario to check that this kind of user cannot log in successfully. So those are the various ways you think outside of the box. You think beyond the scope of beyond the, how will I put it, the boundaries of the test cases that, or the user scenarios that you see in any application. So this is more like the use cases, use case, yeah. So anyway, let's move on. Let's move on because of our time. I'm looking at somebody's own here, Fumbia Dekombi. Okay, so you have been able to give us priority. Uh, is it is it priority or severity you want to put here? Because if you are putting priority, you are looking at this with the glasses or with the eye of a product owner or a QA lead somewhere that thinks that some test cases should be valued or should have more story point or more attention than some others, than some other test cases. But if you are putting severity here, it shows that the extent or the complication of the bug, all right, the complexity of the bug, right? So this should be severity, not priority. Please note that you have said that. So there is no priority that is critical. In terms of priority, I think you had a class yesterday that talked about high, medium, and low, or high, major, and minor. That's the way they put it. In some companies, they say high, medium, and low, right? That is what priority is. But for severity, you are talking in terms of critical, high, major, minor, about 4 or 5 of it. I think that's still fresh in your memory since you did that yesterday. All right. So I guess you are trying to prioritize these test cases, meaning that there should be no critical stuff in your list. Let's see the ones you called critical. User checkout information. What does this mean? What is the scenario? Standard user. Okay, no. Okay, so this person also separated the users, however, in as a form of user scenario, all right, or use cases. Okay, performance glitch user. Okay, which one have we not touched out? Error user. Yeah, visual user. Let's see your visual user. User checkout information successful. Checkout allowed with invalid values for. It's so not clear. So when you are writing description, please make it as clear as possible. User checkout information. So what you did in case of next time, separate the columns. So this should be user rows. Okay, make this user rows and then create another column and call it test scenario, because I'm sure that the first section of your test case is talking about the test scenario. All right, user checkout information is a scenario. Checkout page is a scenario, please. So you have another column and you put the scenario there, and then another column that says the test case description itself, not title. This is not a bug. Okay, I'm checking the bug page. Okay, I was wondering why everything is looking awkward. Okay, so this is our test case. Okay, that's fine. I have the test scenario, I have the test case description. Oh, okay, that's good. You separated them. We have the user role. Okay. We have the test steps, the expected results, and the post condition. Okay, so let me check for visual user, visual performance glitch and visual. Okay, have I seen visual? Okay, you wrote quite a number of test cases. I think visual should be the last part if you are writing it according to the process flow, then it should be the last year. I can't find it. Okay, I can find it now. Okay, so I have visual user. Validate that user can view this. Okay, end to end. That's good. Validate the appearance of the navigation. Validate. Here is your login. Check out. What does the visual user do? Can we check? So we have visual user. Visual user with secret source. Again. Okay, so let's remove this and just. So this is visual user. Add to cart. This user can add to cart. Can remove from cart. Okay. Let me assume I've added to cart. Aha. So can you see what happened just now? Let's go back. Okay. Can you see? So it's important that you are able to pay attention to details. Look at this cart now. Does it stay right on top of the filter normally? If you have studied the pattern of how this application has been working for a while, no, it's not supposed to be here. So visually now you know that this card should not be here, right? It should be here. All right, that is one of the things you check out for in visual testing. All right, that's one of the things you check out for in what? In visual testing. UI testing, we mentioned it the other day. What are the things that a UI testing comprises of? Within your test case, you will see scenarios that has to do with visual testing. You will see scenarios that has to do with component testing, right? We mentioned it about is it 5 or 6 of them. You will see all those kind of scenarios and you have to include them in your test case. So this is an example of visual testing where you have a displacement of an image. The image is supposed to be on this side and then you see it on another side. Or you're supposed to have one color but you're seeing a different color, right? It's an example of visual testing. So for this user now, you'd say you validate that the visual user can actually see these cards from the positive side, can see these cards at, is it the left angle, right adjacent to the filter, all right? Or then by the time you're writing your negative, you're validating that the user should not be able to see the correct placement of the filter right at the right angle of the page, right? So whatever you understand what I'm trying to say, this is the expected, that is here, but what is not expected is that it is here. Why? Because this is visual testing and the scenario you are checking for is that the placement of this card is on the wrong position. Let's log out. Not sure if I've checked all the users here. What did we say happened to this error user again? Error user. Okay, yeah, I think I remember what happened to this error user. You keep clicking on some buttons and then they are not responding, right? Okay, so add to cart is working but remove is not working. Then another add to cart is not working. You know, it misbehaves anyhow, right? Okay, so I think But then what is the difference between the error user and the problem user? Let's log out. Let's see this problem user again. They are the ones that look a little bit the same um, in terms of what we say behavior. Okay, so this remove. Okay, so you see this problem user too. I can't remove. I can't add. Let's just assume that okay, I've reloaded the page. Okay, so it also behaves the same way the error page behaves. You can't predict when you can click on add card and when it will work. Sometimes you click on it, it works. Sometimes you click on it and it does not just work. So let me click on this and remove it and start all over. Continue shopping. So I click on add to cart, it worked. Click on add to cart, it's not working. Click on remove, it's not working. Click on add to cart, it's not working. So you see it's a problem. Okay. Yeah, let me log out. Good. Where am I? I think I was here. Let's see. Validate that the visual user can cancel checkout. Can cancel checkout. Okay. Validate that a visual user can go back to any negative in your test case. Let me see. Negative. Okay. Validate that a visual user is unable to check out with empty last name field. Okay. Is unable to check out with empty last name field. I really don't understand that, but let's see. Validate that a visual user is unable to check in visual. Okay, so basically your test case stops for this visual user. Basically your test case should stop here, right on this page. You know why? Because you have already written it that this user should not be able to proceed further from this page. When they click on login, they should see this display here, this error message. They can log in. Okay, maybe I logged in with the wrong. Let's do it again. Visual user. And secret source. Okay, I'm entering a very wrong copy. Visual. Okay. Wait. I don't know what's wrong with my keyboard today. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now that you can access this, then it means you can write as many test cases as possible. What was that test case we were trying to check? Check out, we're checking checkout. The visual user can input or should not be able to input last name. Okay, so this is a product here. Checkout. Imagine, see where the checkout is. So visually, the checkout shouldn't be up. That's another problem. I don't know if you took note of that. Eh? Yeah. Okay. Great. So we have first name. Same. They can be should date. Should date. Okay, so the spelling. I put this one there. Okay, so your test case is saying what am I saying again? A visual user is unable to check out with empty first name field. So this is my first name, is it? This is last name. Empty. Okay, so and I click on continue. All right, so what you have successfully done is to validate each field, and that is what we call component testing. The component of this checkout form is what? First name, last name, and the zip field. And you've been able to validate each of the fields of this form. All right, and then you also validate that this error message gets displayed. Uh, did you do that? Uh, Validate that the visual user is unable to check out with empty first name field. Validate that the visual user is unable to check out with empty last name field. Validate that the visual user is unable to check out. Okay. Validate that the visual user is unable to continue on the checkout page information. Validate that user is. Okay, so all of this is good, but you should also validate that the error message so is displayed on screen. All right, that you should also do put that in your test. All the same. This is a very good job. Well done. Nothing here. Okay, Judith, you were the one that asked question the other time. Am I right? No, this is favor. There was a Judith. Okay, this one. Okay, so I think I had an issue with reading this test case, basically because of the way the users were put together in just one scenario, right? Which is not supposed to be. They're supposed to be in different scenarios. But I want to see if there's a test case that can be interesting here. Where a standard user clicks on checkout, uh, click on top left product page. Okay, they are all still. There's no negative scenario here. Let's move on. I've checked this. Let's check this person's one. Adini. Okay, so I have the user role, test case description, test scenarios, fine. Invalid username and password. Validate that standard user cannot. Okay, let's check. Let me see your performance glitch. Okay, so where does I want to see the scenario on that user that logs that gets stuck. I think it's locked out user that gets stuck when they enter the username and the password, and then on the screen we have the error message and they can't even proceed further. Let me see what I think it's locked out user. Let me see what you're able to write for locked out user. Okay, you only wrote for visual. Wait, this is for maybe. Okay, locked out user. Visual error, performance glitch, problem, and locked out. Good, very good. Okay, so I can see 3 scenarios here. Navigate to, although it should be more than 3 scenarios. The first one is, of course, you navigate. The second one is you validate that the locked out user can view the Swagger button form interface. Then you validate that the locked out user can log in successfully. No, this is wrong. Yeah, we are not supposed to have much test cases here, but you validate that the locked out user cannot log in successfully. They should not be able to log in successfully. They have to be locked out, and that's the first thing. Then the second thing is you have to validate that error message is displayed when they clicked on login button for the locked out user. So you validate that the error message is displayed. So please, I think this is fine altogether. Any negative scenario here, validate that. Okay, validate that performance glitch user can click on checkout. The error user can log in. Okay, I can't see any negative scenario in your test case. Always include negative scenarios, and an example of that negative scenario is what I just said now, that a logged user cannot log in successfully because they are logged out. All right. Um, if I've not reviewed your assignment, please let me know. These are the ones I have for now, except if I've omitted it somehow. Okay, you sent a link, right? I'm not sure. Okay, so here, oh, oh, I added it just now. Okay, maybe, okay, swag gloves. Okay, yeah, this is your, is that in class? Okay, so I will check yours after this. Okay, so I have, okay, logout page, login page, product requirement, company page, logo log, test case ID, scenario, test steps, no user role, no user role. So you should have user role, you should not combine your scenario and your test case. Yes, sometimes scenario and test case can be combined, but not in every not in every application or not in every situation. So here in particular for this app, I'm sure scenario should be separated from your test case description. So you should have here your test case ID, your test case um, scenario, your test case description, your user role, your test steps, your expected result, actual result, status, bug, whatever. Let's see what else. Okay, so you are using the word verify. Can you tell me why you use the word verify? Any reason? Okay, so I've I've explained in this class why verify, the use of verify or verification is different from validation. In software testing, verification is different from validation. And so when you are designing your test cases, you are taking note of the test cases that falls under verification and those ones that falls under validation. When you are conducting your static testing, most especially, you use verify. But in a case where you are dealing with dynamic testing scenarios, then you use the word validate. All right. Now, and this also has to do with specification and requirements. User specification, user requirements. For validate, you are validating user specification. You know, you are validating what is designed against the user specification. And for verification, you are validating user expectation against what has been designed. All right. Now, for this source lab application, it is a static application. The reason is because though is hosted on a live server, right? Though it is hosted on a live server, it is not an application that is being consistently used. We don't get to have new features added to it, and we don't have live users that are really using the application, no customer base for the application. So indirectly or directly, we can say the source lab demo application is a static application. So that was the explanation I was expecting you to give me when I asked you why you use the word verify. Sometimes when software testers design their test cases before they start testing, in the case of a waterfall methodology, I mean in the case where development operations is separated from testing operations, then sometimes you have to design your test case document even before you can access the application. For those periods too, you can use the word verify. Why? Because you don't have access to the application. The application is not ready. It does not have live users, and so on and so forth. So all you add at that time, can you please mute your mic? So all you had at that time when you were designing your document was just some paper and diagrams somewhere, some specifications somewhere, all right? So you use what? Verify for in that case. But the moment an application is live, or the moment what you are testing is not a new application, probably they just added new features to it. It is not new. It's an existing application. It was just upgraded, all right? Or a new version was created for it, and so on. If that is the situation, then it means that whatever you are testing is dynamic in approach, right? Okay, so I think that is clear. So let's continue. Now, the way you write some of your test cases, another thing to notice, upon successfully, what does that mean? Upon successfully adding to cart, verify user can, that's not well written. So you can say, you want to say something? Okay, so there's a better way to construct this. So the thing is, if you have seen the ISTQB syllabus, the standard methods, QA has a process, and there's a process to designing your test case document too, right? If you have seen the ISTQB syllabus, you will discover some of these things. It's not ad hoc. You just have to follow the process. Please, you have not structured it well. Yes, you are trying to say that why this happens only after the user successfully added to cart. All right. So there is another better approach to structuring it. Because you are verifying, the verification should start first. Verify that user can continue shopping after successfully adding to cart. All right, verify that user cannot place order with invalid details upon successfully adding to cart, or after successfully adding to cart, whichever one. Yeah, let's continue. We have so there is no user rules. I'm looking for negative scenarios here. Cannot place order. Okay, cannot place order. That's for which user? So I guess you have designed this for just the standard user. Cannot place order with invalid details. What kind of invalid details? Your test case is too generic. It is too generic. And if you are testing this way, then you will find it difficult to find your bug. Alright, you have to be very specific. Say error message displayed field for which user? Alright, for which user? So yeah, I will stop here for you and move on to, I think I opened Darius on the other time. Okay, this is still okay. You were this. Okay, you were sleek. I even opened it earlier and I was asking who was sleek. Oh, please. No, I'm talking about Unduk. Yeah, Undukai. The one I checked, Unduke. I opened this test suit earlier, but I couldn't verify if it was on call or so. I was asking who was sleek. Okay, so let me move over to. Okay, Daria, what did you say just now? You did not do it. Okay, so there's visual, there's user role. Okay, you only tested based on visual user alone. Okay, that's half job. Okay, so mm, what is this in the middle? Preconditions. Okay, post conditions fail. Log that user is not a valid username with, what does that mean? Validate all usernames are valid. All usernames. Okay, I don't understand. Which usernames? Okay. So you could have put it in a better way that you validate that user inputs the valid username, all right? Then you can put it there which of the valid username visual user, and then you just do it, separate it, as per component testing. Validate each of those fields and then also validate the buttons you see there. Every single thing you see on the interface, you validate them. Why? Because it is user interface testing, instead of packing everything together in one single test case. All right, so we will stop here today. Because we have gone beyond time. So I will quickly jump into in within the next 10-15 minutes to say something about our API testing, which we started last week. We looked into the phase one of it already. And so the phase two is the next on our agenda. So I think I opened this earlier. I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure. Okay. API testing and automation. API testing and automation. That was the one we saw last week. Okay. API automation with Postman. Okay. So don't let the word automation here make you afraid. I won't delve into the automation part today, but there is something I need to show you on this page. Okay, so last week, generally, we talked about API testing and we mentioned the method, especially the four methods which you come across frequently when you're testing your APIs. We also talked about how you can pick your base URL and then add your endpoints to it. Then we discussed on the response status, that when you see status 200 it means it is successful. Okay, when you see 201 it means the resource has been created. When you see 404 you mean resource is not found. When you see 400 or 401, you know, and so on. Forgotten, 505 server unavailable, or 501 error with server, blah blah blah. All right, so those are what error http status codes. Those are the responses you get when you're testing an endpoint in software testing. Now, looking at this now, we said validating API with the API request. You create a request, as we said last week. Let me look for my postman. You create a request, right? And then what's the next thing? You create a request from where? From here. You have your HTTP methods down here, and then you send it. When you send it, what do you get? You have your responses, and then you have the HTTP status code. All right. So, however, in order to validate, we'll run test script. No. I'm not doing this part. I just wanted you to see something. What is that part? Yeah. Okay, so I wanted you to see something. Let me just open Postman just so you know. Okay, so when you are creating, this is for the essence of the project you are working on, right? So when you are creating your project, note that you create a new collection first. Okay, I can't create a new collection right now. I'm not signed in. Let me see if I can sign in. Sign in with a different application. Okay, I'm able to sign in. So you move data. Okay, got it. So if you look at this navigation at this side of your, is this left or right? You see that there is something called collections, there's something called environment, mock server, monitors, and history. So come to your collections. All right, you have a school project that you're working with. So you click on collections and you click on create a new collection. I think I even saw it the other time. I didn't check well. Okay, so create a new collection, give it a name, the name of your project, right? Give it a name, and then you can decide to choose template, you know, if you like. It is API that you're working on anyway. So I mean, it is REST API that you're working on. So you have a new collection. Now I have a new collection here. Give it the title. Make sure it is the name of the project you are working on. Let's say it is school API. Let me just call it school API. Yeah, it has changed. So I have school API. So within the school API, we know you have a lot of endpoints that you are going to add to it. All right. So here you say create what? Add a request. So adding a request, then you can now enter first. We said the base URL. That is where your application is hosted. Yeah, we talked about URL, URI last week. Read up on it, please. So you put your base URL here. Let's say my base URL is this. Now, then the endpoint you want to call, let's assume that I want to call the login, right? There's no login for this one. So let's assume that there's a login endpoint. So I will just say login, right? Okay. So once you click on enter or you click on send, you will get your response. And that is how you create all of your endpoints. Remember, you have to add the method you are passing. All right. And there are some stuff you're going to add to here, which we explained last week to you. All right, so I guess that is it. In terms of authorization, did we discuss authorization last week? So for your project that you are working on, I think it requires authorization. I'm not so sure. I think it does. So authorization is saying that for the user that you have created, you have to be authorized for you to move on to the next page. That's a simple way I can explain this. you have to um, you have to be authorized to be able to access this resource from this web page. All right, so for every request you make, that authorization has to be there. That means that you pass on the authorization token to every request that you make within your collection. All right, within your collection you can say bearer token, then you put the token there. This is something that you can jointly find out on, research into, and do yourself. So yeah, that's a very foundational step to learning API testing. Every other addition to API testing should be automation. Automation in the sense that there is a way you automate your API such that you don't have to run it one by one. You run your collection, and on running your connection you can decide to customize it by writing codes. All right, by writing codes. There's they call scripting. So there's a place here that we call test. You write your codes here, and then you run your collection. Okay, so there's something called run collection. By the time you run your collection, it's iterates all through each of the tests you have created, one after the other, and then it gives you a result. I know it is rubbish that is here, but I'm just asking it to run whatever it can run. So you will see the result here. Oh, this one is passed, this one is fail, whatever, whatever, whatever. This one is fail, check console, blah blah. And it will also show the code that you have written. Even in your code you ask it to show successful message or failed message, or if in your code you tested different scenarios, then it's also going to show on each of these endpoints here. And with that, you can print out your report and say, okay, this is my API execution report, right? So yeah, that is basically how to automate API. But this is we are not doing any automation. All you are working on is just the manual aspect, where you get to just create request and then you get your response. All right, so that is all for today's class and this week's class. For next week, or for during the week, there is no assignment, no particular assignment for this week. You are working on your project and you are delivering it on Friday, close of business, and then on Saturday we will have a full time to go through your project one after the other. Note, you are submitting just one collection per group, so I'm expecting 4 collection. I mean 4 API collection, 1 API collection per each group, please. All right, so that's what I'm expecting for each group. And also add a report, like when you put your link or when you send your collection, add maybe a Word document to show which aspect each person has worked on, right? Please add it to it. Let me know who worked on what, right? Add it to it. What other thing? I think that is